Hi everyone, I'm Rachelle, the CEO of EML Australia, and today we're talking Buy Now Pay Later. Buy Now Pay Later, one of the hottest topics in the fintech, the payment, in fact just one of the hottest topics in the world at the moment, and largely due to the increase in consumer demand for alternatives to credit. We have the New Zealand and the Australian markets that are a little bit more mature in the Buy Now Pay Later space, but we also have other regions, the UK, Europe, US, all future opportunities, less mature markets today, but amazing growth opportunities for the future. I'm so fortunate today to have with me Gary Rohloff, the co-founder and MD of Laybuy. Welcome, Gary.
Welcome. Thank you, Rachelle. Nice to be here.
And I'm also so fortunate to have Michael Fredericks, the founder and the MD of FOO. Welcome as well, Michael.
Thanks, Rachelle. And hi, Gary.
Hi, Michael. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Now, I'm going to start off with yourself, Gary. First of all, share price looks amazing today. If you could start off by just telling everyone a little bit in regards to Laybuy.
Sure. Well, and thanks again for having me on board. And it's great to be here with Michael and talking about Buy Now Pay Later. So ours is a family company. We started this company, my wife and I, and our two boys back in March 2017, and have grown very rapidly over the last 3.5 years. We are in the Australian market as of June 2018, and in August of 18, my wife and I and our then youngest son, who was then 21, relocated to London, and we launched our business up in the UK in October of that year. So we're across 3 continents, or 3 countries, I should say, and loving it. It's a great place to be a part of. We're very proud of what we've been able to achieve with Laybuy so far, and our dream is to create a ubiquitous global brand, and that's what we are setting out to achieve.
Fantastic, an amazing story so far, Gary.
Thank you.
Michael, I'm going to hand over to yourself for a moment. Congratulations on the recent capital raise, and also congratulations on the recent investment and partnership with Chemist Warehouse. Tell us a little bit more about FOO.
Yeah, thanks, Rachelle. We're a bit different in this space. So we refer to ourselves as a lifestyle money management platform. And what the hell does that mean? So the problem we set out to achieve is really initially addressing cash-strapped young people, Gen Z and millennials, and looking to solve this problem around trying to afford living and paying for their lifestyle costs from pay cycle to pay cycle. So there's 2 parts to our platform making up what we refer to as that platform. The first one's a money management platform, or really a cash flow management platform. That's really where we started our journey, was dealing with this concept of aggregating banking transactional data for our members, and then kind of building along the journey to the sort of traditional budgeting PFM app, but then uniquely forecasting cash flow forward across pay cycles. Obviously, for the point of view of addressing that problem. And then once you do that, then we get what we refer to as actionable insights in these future cycles, whether they're going to be short of cash or have some extra cash. And obviously for this generation, they're often short. So when that's the case, that's when we started looking at what does payment flexibility look like, which led us to the Buy Now Pay Later model. But what we then do is look to sort of do that for everyday lifestyle costs and do that in a responsible way for all lifestyle costs. So that's our product at the moment, those 2 parts. In terms of what you alluded to, we're thrilled with the capital raise. It only took 3 weeks, which was refreshing. So that happened really quickly, which I think is relevant to some of your comments before about interest in the space. And then following that really flushed out the Chemist Warehouse partnership and investment, which was we're thrilled to have those guys on board. It gives us access to about 6 or 7 million customers up front, which is a great way to kick things off.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell us, Gary and Michael, there's a lot of players in this space, and more in the Buy Now Pay Later space are more companies announcing they're entering the market, including most recently PayPal with their announcement. So, Michael and Gary, is there enough space for everyone, do you feel?
Okay, look, I was asked that question a number of times when we were doing our pre-IPO roadshow. And the reality is PayPal coming into the market validates what we as an industry sector have been doing, in my view. And the PayPal product will just raise the awareness of this model and, in my view, accelerate adoption. It's not dissimilar to what we saw in Australia when Amazon announced that they were launching in Australia, and the likes of Kogan and Booktopia share prices took a bit of a hit. Kogan and Booktopia have been going gangbusters ever since, and that's because the adoption rates are just rising. And so I don't see that PayPal represents any major issue to the industry at all. I think it's a good thing. I think there's a lot of buy now, pay laters in disguise, and that's because the sector is hot. And so if you can call yourself a buy now, pay later, you do. But look, everybody gets flushed out at the end of the day by how good you are at what you do and how good your business model is for the consumer. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the consumer, and they will choose who they want to use and why.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, reinforcing what Gary said, and look, I think it's really important to drill into what buy now, pay later means. It's certainly a brand that any credit company out there is looking to somehow attach to its business, given the growth rates. But I mean, technically, a credit card's buy now, pay later. I think you really need to sort of drill into what we're talking about. And I've started throwing around the definition of millennial credit, which certain companies, I'm sure Afterpay would hate me calling it that. But what I'm really trying to get to there is this original model, which is really driven by the psychology of Gen Z and millennials of spending their own money, small transaction size, paid back in a short period of time. And importantly, it's not a line of credit. It's not a product that you can pay over 12 months that has a fee model attached to tenure of time. That's not this model. And Gary was insightful enough to jump on this a couple of years ago. That's definitely the Laybuy model. Then you get, then there's our company that's come in approaching it as a subset of what we do, but extending that beyond what's commonly focused on retail to all lifestyle categories and combining that with cash, but sticking to that small transaction size, really just a bridge across pay cycles. And we think it's that model, it's that psychology with customer that's growing these rapid adoption rates. Then you've got this category which I call buy now, pay later credit cards, without bidding anyone up specifically here, but really what that's about is, a more traditional credit product that's using the term interest-free to attach itself to buy now, pay later, but then really running a model that looks a lot like a credit card. So that's either because you've got a large item price, up to 30 grand. You can't pay a $30,000 product off under 8 weeks. That has fee structures attached to time, or you've got products that are certainly charging that way, where you don't have to pay it off. You can pay it off over 2 years if you want to, but obviously that's going to be very expensive. And it's that category that's getting really busy. It seems to be that's where a lot of traditional companies are kind of coming into. Whereas in the original buy now, pay later model, there's actually only a small number of companies that are operating in that space. The other point, Rachelle, I think is really important is around the responsible spending lending issue. I mean, this is getting more and more attention. The Afterpay business seems to be at the front of that. And really what that's about, I think, is this growing concern by regulators, which is the media is jumping all over, which is that, a new customer on a lot of these platforms, they're all in, they're all allowed in, and then it's a filter out concept where, if you find a customer can't meet the repayments or doesn't meet the repayments, they're filtered out of the funnel after some late fees being attached. So that's also a growing issue that I think is getting more attention and part of what we're trying to address.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, look, I'd agree with that. We set out to be a lifestyle enablement brand, and it's all about responsibility and transparency for us. So we unashamedly credit and affordability check every single customer that comes onto our platform via an integration we have globally with Experian. And I think that's an important element of being responsible. I mean, how can you extend credit as we do under our model for a short period of time without first understanding whether or not that customer is not in a distressed financial state to start with, and otherwise you're just adding pain on pain. So I think it's very important and part of what we value as being responsible in our model.
Yeah, no, definitely. Michael and Gary, keen to talk a little bit about the EML partnership. So to our investors, to the market, we announced back in August our 3-year strategy, Accelerator. And it was all about, or it is all about, inspiring digital transformational change for our customers and communities. It's about working also with fintechs. And I'm keen to understand a little bit more, maybe Michael, we'll start with yourself, if you can share with everyone a little bit more about the partnership between EML and FOO.
Yeah, no, happy to. Yeah, look, we're really excited about the FOO card project. We just started. Rachelle, our COO, just went and bought me a coffee using the card about an hour ago. So I think that might have been its first use. So it's,
is that the best coffee you've ever had, Michael?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So look, obviously that's really exciting for us. And the FOO card, look, that's a real enabler for our strategy. And what that's about is, look, our vision is obviously being able to address this customer demand for cashless, cardless spending, obviously via mobile phone, where this demographic, get alone, they moved away from cash, they barely have cards, it's a virtual card payment mechanism. And partnering with you guys has allowed us to utilise that technology with our budgeting, money management and buy now, pay later solution to solve this cash flow or the affordability issue. It really solves the Woolworths grocery shopping issue, for a generation that's sitting there at the counter struggling and worried about whether they can pay for the basket and they don't have a credit card. What do? So when that's outside of retail particularly, that's an issue. So for us, it's the solution to tap and pay for anything, anywhere under our model, and where you can run a hybrid model on cash and card. So it's enabled us to do that. And then the other side of that equation or coin, I guess, is the merchant integration point, where historically having a software point of sale integration with merchant is necessary to be able to use these products. This avoids that completely, where that isn't required. You can use the card anywhere, anytime, which is groundbreaking for us. So being able to partner with you guys on that means we didn't have to spend that money up front, and we can roll it out really quickly and focus on our own product. And like I said, we just rolled that out this morning. It's also a key point for the Chemist Warehouse deal at the end of the day, in that those guys have a buy now, pay later solution online. They don't have a solution in store. They don't have time, to deal with another party trying to integrate software in store, whereas, we're rolling that out in the coming weeks on scale, and they haven't really had to do anything. So that's a game changer for us.
Brilliant stuff. And Gary, Laybuy and EML UK, as well as Australia, contactless payments, share a little bit more about what we're doing together.
Well, look, Rachelle, quite frankly, we wouldn't be even able to contemplate what we're about to do in Australia and the UK without an EML partnership. You guys have been fantastic. We have pushed the boundaries in terms of timelines, and you've always been there for us and helped us navigate what is a not insignificant series of rapids to get this over the line. And what this does for us is provides our retailers with the ability to offer their customers a buy now, pay later in store over the 6 weeks that we operate in. It's also a ubiquitous card, so a customer of ours could go in and shop at JD Sports, tap to pay and pay it in 6, and go next door to Starbucks and buy a coffee and tap to pay and pay it in one transaction. So it creates that ubiquity that is central to our strategy of becoming a ubiquitous global brand. And without EML, we wouldn't be able to pull this off. So we're very grateful for the partnership. We're looking forward to expanding on that in the months and years to come, because we've got some other bright ideas that we'd like to talk to you about as well. So we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. And looking forward to your first coffee, Gary, too, with your product and everything before the peak season. The next thing that I want to talk about is really around what's next and growth opportunities. When we look at the size of, let's look at the size of the retail market first of all. So in New Zealand, the retail market size being about $89 billion with about 10% online. Within Australian market, about $329 billion with, again, about 10% online. And the UK massive in terms of, size of the market, about $393 billion with about 20% online. I guess, first of all, Gary, has COVID impacted those numbers, do you think? And has COVID impacted or created more opportunity, I guess, for the buy now, pay later space?
Yeah, look, first question first, has COVID impacted those numbers? I would say undoubtedly.
Yeah.
I would say that COVID has accelerated the switch to online shopping probably by around 5 years, seems to be the general consensus. You know, we know that through the work we did, the penetration in the UK was about 20% pre-COVID. I think it's probably closer to 25% now and rising. And in New Zealand, of course, we went into a hard lockdown for a month. It was 100% online, and because the stores were shut. So we have, as a company, benefited from that switch to online, because online is a space that we play very well in, and the whole COVID ecosystem seems to have pushed more and more companies to be recognising that their online offer has to be better. So we've benefited a lot from that. At the same time, we do know that retail is still dominated, whichever way you look at it, by bricks and mortar, and hence the need for us to turbocharge our partnership with EML to make that in-store solution available pre-Christmas, because I feel for retailers. I was a retailer myself for 18 years. I know what it's like to have a nationwide retail chain with the real estate that goes with it, and you got to ignite it. And we're hoping that this solution goes some way to doing that.
Yeah, excellent. And Gary, I guess finally for you, what's next? What's next? You're already in a couple of markets. We've got this wonderful product launching. What's next for Laybuy?
Well, we want to dominate the UK market, which is in its infancy in terms of what we do up there. But we stated in our prospectus that we had a US entity established, and the US is definitely on our radar this year, and that's pretty exciting for us. We've got a couple of things in our pipeline that we're pretty excited about, which includes an expansion across the Atlantic. So watch the space, I guess. Brilliant,
absolutely brilliant stuff. And Michael, what about yourself? What's next for food?
And on the growth rates issue, Rachelle, so obviously, I agree with that. There's no question e-commerce has grown through the period. But in terms of our solution, there's a couple of elements to it. People are short on cash flow, young people in particular. I know I was in AFR yesterday saying that millennials and Gen Z is the demographic that's been hit hardest by that. So, cash flow management and the ability to understand their income and net cash flows are a bigger issue than it was beforehand. Retail e-commerce is growing, but for us, merchant isn't limited to retail. As mentioned, we're offering the product for everything. So, and when we went to market, really testing what the business model, should be used for, the customers that we surveyed and are working with said, actually their biggest use case is on those fundamental items that they can't afford and are struggling more to afford, rent, groceries, bills, etc. So when you look at the market size, really we're talking about consumer spending as a category. So it's a lot bigger than retail. Bills and rent, for instance, is a lot bigger than retail spending. So it's a big market, and there's no question that COVID's fast tracking that. In terms of growth, what's up for us? Next for us, which we've started on, we're hoping to have MVP out before Christmas, actually, is what we're referring to as our marketplace product, which again, the card is very relevant to. And what this means is really all about is because we've got that money management, cash flow management tool, we have the ability to have those intimate insights into a customer's affordability and spending. So, we're looking to use that with customers to be able to offer them personalised spending options. So if you think about our marketplace, we're not limited to merchants that we have relationships with, and it's not just retail. So what then happens is they've got the ability to use the card and the product to spend across anything. And then we start, pushing or highlighting or even recommending to customer those other options. So whether it's, you're using this product, here's some other products and services that are relevant, or importantly then savings. So where merchants can offer rewards to customers, and you can see other saving options. And I think an important point on this is when we really started the journey, about half of our customers said they don't want to use any credit at all. It's just about cash flow management, spending cash, but they all want rewards and savings. So that's the other core part of our business. So we coined a term called Smart Spend. We trademarked that actually. And there's three parts to that. So it's that cash flow transparency. What money do I have and what's the impact if I spend my money on today and tomorrow? So you can see that before you transact. Then you've got the credit flexibility piece for people that need that assistance. And then the final piece is just rewards and savings, so that if I spend using this platform, I'm likely to get, a better price. So that kind of rounds out our solution in terms of smart spending.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Michael. Before we close, any final points that you wanted to share, Gary or Michael?
Oh, look, I just would like to thank you for the opportunity to participate in the conference today, Rachelle. Great to meet you, Michael. All the very best with your business. I think you've landed on a great model, and I'm sure our paths will cross in the future.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, likewise, Rachelle. Thrilled to be working with you guys. Great to have that product in market. It's an exciting time for us. I think this should be helpful to kind of clear up some of these misconceptions around the various models. A lot of these businesses are very different businesses. So it'll be interesting to see how this continues to unfold over the next sort of 6-12 months.
Yeah, look, thank you both, Gary and Michael, for all your time. Thank you for joining us here at EMLCON2020, and really looking forward to continuing working with you both, being part of your future and part of your growth. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.